Imagine a haunted castle. Does it resemble this? A crumbling edifice with sharp angles and elaborate woodwork. Perhaps some bats swooping out of a turret. This is the Gothic fortress. And the spectral arcs back to artworks like this one from the 1920s. Painter Edward Hopper's mansion by the railroad, depicting an ancient Gothic mansion, forsaken and solitary. Recall this because it resurfaces later throughout 20th century popular culture. Similar castles emerge repeatedly as harbingers of terror in horror films, TV shows, and Gothic novels. It famously starred as the foreboding Bates castle in Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho, on the eccentric abode of the Addams family. But it wasn't always this way. So why do we link this castle with demise? The latter part of the Gothic era, named after England's Queen Victoria, was dubbed the Gilded Age in America. It succeeded the bloody American Civil War and coincided with an era of extreme income inequality, political corruption, and industrialization that fostered a new affluent class, and the preferred residence for the nouveau riche or newly wealthy was the Gothic. It was a mansion of its era, an extravagant monstrosity, flaunting the riches of select American families. Inspired by the Gothic architecture of medieval Europe, these castles were designed to be imposing and make a statement. They were a mismatched fusion of towers and battlements, elaborate trimmings resembling gingerbread, and sloping, bulging roofs called the mansard roof, borrowed from the French imperial style. Inside was a labyrinth of chambers like salons, parlors, libraries, and observatories. Spaces often deserted with the drapes drawn to exclude sunlight, which could harm the jumble of heavy, costly furnishings. Eerie, wasn't it? 19th century wealthy Americans sought to emulate Europe. But after World War I that changed, as the American vision shifted towards progress and innovation. Modern architects ushered in an era of sleek lines and simplicity as the new standard of refinement. The Gothic, in contrast, became an outdated emblem of excess, its architectural style termed grotesque, and the castles labeled Mongol types, defiling the landscape. Critics of the time began associating the castles with demise, unwelcome reminders of the troubling Gilded Age. These castles gradually became unwelcome entities, and eventually, the wealthy proprietors moved on. And when the Great Depression swept across the nation in the 1930s, many castles were abandoned or transformed into boarding houses for the working class, without their affluent occupants to maintain them. The ornate structures swiftly decayed, deepening their connection with dilapidation. Enter Charles Addams, a cartoonist for The New Yorker, who introduced the world to the Addams family, a reclusive bunch of spectres who are morbidly unsociable and mysteriously affluent. Here's to the magnificent enigmas of existence, to all that unites a family as one, to hilarity, to festivity, to homicide. These popular cartoons began appearing in the late 30s, but it wasn't until November 1945 that Addams finally revealed the exterior of the peculiar home the family inhabits. It was the Gothics. Yorker, who the Addams family was a gloomy distortion of the ideal American family, and their castle embodied that. Charles Addams later remarked in an interview that he selected it because Gothics are simply superior for hauntings. It was here that the Gothic became permanently linked with horror. And by the time Alfred Hitchcock crafted his iconic film, Psycho, in 1960, audiences immediately recognized the Bates Castle as a place of unspoken dread, or something not quite right. In the promotional trailer for the film, Hitchcock describes the castle's appearance as a tad more sinister, less innocent than the motel itself. And as he leads you inside, you notice even in daylight, this place retains a hint of malevolence, and his inspiration, it was Hopper from 1925. It's not difficult to discern the resemblance. Both are towering, desolate, and secluded, decrepit relics that loomed over the world had long perished over a century ago, but its enduring presence in Gothic-inspired art and popular culture has rendered it an iconic symbol of dread, not serving as an immediate signal to audiences. There's something not quite right about this castle. You might have spotted that apparition in the window around the 2-minute mark, but there are actually 4 others concealed through this video. Did you notice those?